It is April 5th, 2016. Sunshine outside of Riley Ford on Route 9 in Chazy. Joy Van Leuven, how are you?
Great. How are you this morning?
I'm just doing great because it's nice and warm in here.
Yes, it
And the
is.
chill factor is at least 107 below zero outside the door.
Not echo.
Unbelievable. I saw a lot of funny little things on Facebook this morning about what Old Man Winter and spring can do. But here we are. I haven't been inside this dealership in a long, long time. Calvin called me last night and said, Joey couldn't make it. We're going up to Riley Ford. And I said, great. I'm so glad to see you.
I'm so excited to see you. Thank you very much for coming to see us.
This is kind of a family affair for you, isn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely. Our family is all here.
How many years for you?
30.
So you were only 3 when you started
Yes,
here?
yes, I was only 3. Yes, I was only 3. But really, I've been here 30 years this year. Hard to believe, isn't it? I'm that old.
Isn't that fantastic? We're going to spend a lot of time at Riley Ford today finding out who all the people are.
Perfect.
I love this car, right?
Me
Standing
too.
right next to it. I even touched it for once.
You
I
can drive it home.
Oh, I could. I think Calvin started with a picture of your dad on the back wall.
Perfect. Great way to start.
Tell me a little bit about your dad. Just a second here. You're like I am when I talk
Yeah.
about my father. Because I had a dream the other night and I looked out, I was on an airplane flying somewhere to where it was warm, I hope. I looked up and there was my dad's face on the screen in the airplane. So I woke up.
Cool.
I didn't know whether to be happy or sad or
Yeah.
whether he was trying to tell me something because he'd been gone for a long time. And your dad hasn't been with us for how long? 4 years?
4 years this June.
Is that possible?
No.
No. And you miss him every day.
Oh, absolutely.
Walking around, making the coffee,
Yes.
getting the...
Getting everybody going like he always did in the morning.
Yeah. Because Riley Ford has been here since what year?
My dad actually, excuse me, was 1980. And then there's a little bit of, we're not sure whether it was like 1926 or 1924, but it's been here a very, very, very long
That's
time.
even before my time.
Yeah, I was going to say it's a few years ago. Not in the same family since then, but passed a few owners since then, but our family since 1980.
Is that's incredible.
Yes.
See, 1980 doesn't seem like that very long ago for me.
It's not.
But what is that?
a few years
36
ago.
years?
It's a few years ago.
My math isn't very good, but that's
Yes.
truly amazing.
Yes.
So anyway, we're delighted to be here today. Before we're finished, our viewers, wherever they might be, Joy, are going to know more about the history of Riley Ford and the people who work here now and the people who used to work here
Great.
than they ever dreamed of.
Wonderful.
Calvin walked in and said, "Where do we start?" And you said,
Wherever you want. Yeah, I was going to say maybe I
to."
shouldn't have said that. No.
No, that's wonderful.
No.
Joy, thanks so much for inviting us here. We're going to have a good time, I promise.
Thanks.
Okay.
He's always ready.
You know, over the years, since I started doing this program with Calvin, and it dawns on me, but he keeps track of these things, that it's been almost 19 years since the late Bob Venn died, and Bob and Calvin were here 23 years ago.
He said that when he walked in this morning. I was like, wow, it really has been 23 years ago. I said, I knew it was a long time ago because I get the phone calls when he runs the old ones and people call me laughing hysterically. So I knew it was a long time ago, but not quite how long ago it was.
It's also interesting to me when Calvin will grab an old show from 15 years ago and post it. And of course, my wife was right by the television saying, "Look at those funny glasses you
Yes.
had. Wait a minute, your hair. Take your hat off."
Yeah, that's
So
exactly
we
what
have
I
to
get.
go through the whole routine
Yes.
about how I was 200 pounds lighter and the whole bit. But you know what? It's been a lot of fun, and I'm sure you feel that way about this. Calvin and I have interviewed literally hundreds of people. And we've stopped at a lot of great North Country businesses along the way. So it pleases me to come to Riley Ford because it's one of those things where it's such an institution in Chazy that you want to wave when you go by.
Well, thank you.
It's like Kay's father, who's been dead for many, many years, And I find myself waving at his house when I drive by.
That's cool. Thank
So
you.
I guess you got it made as a business when people want to wave on the way by.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that very, very much.
So it's a pleasure for us to come here, meet the people, find out about the history of Riley Ford, and why it's so important for a business like this to maintain its stature in the community as a friend of the community.
Absolutely.
It's one thing to go to a grocery store and buy a loaf of bread or a dozen eggs. It's another thing to know the guy who owns the grocery store.
Absolutely.
And remember the days when they used to have a long pole to pull the cereal off the top shelf and so on. When Riley Ford started, in what year did you say?
1926, 1924, not quite sure. We've found a couple publications with different dates on them. Obviously, that was way before me, but it's that long ago, and then has changed hands since it. The original owner was Hubert Patnode. And
I never see. I've learned that much already. Calvin knew that.
Well, he was Patnode.
so I'm sure Calvin, because Calvin knows all.
He
I was here.
Calvin knows all.
Yeah, he was here. He was very, very young. He couldn't lift the camera in those days.
And then Hubert Patnode sold it to Bernard Riley, which is where the name comes from, obviously, Riley Ford. Bernard Riley was a very well-respected gentleman in Chazy. He was a school teacher at Chazy, and I'm not quite sure, at some point I think he was the principal as well. And then he sold to Steve and Marge Longton and Pete LeBlanc.
Oh yes.
I was going to say,
know
which
those
you
names.
probably know
Yes,
very
yes,
well.
Yes.
And my dad came to work for them. Actually, Tony's father came to work for them first, Uncle Gerald. Came to work here as a salesman for them and talked my dad into coming to work here with him. And he enjoyed it. I mean, my dad did a lot of different types of sales. That's just like was in his nature. Did very well. And while he was here, Steve Longton got diagnosed with Parkinson's. So they knew that
boy,
he was
I remember that. Yes.
knew that he was going to become very ill, just a matter of when. And his wife Marge was also part owner, and it was just the two of them. So she was tasked. Obviously, she was a great wife. She took great care of him for years and years and years, but knew that they couldn't run a business and take care of his health at the same time. So they approached my dad about buying the business from them, and he bought it back in 1980, when I guess was not a really good time to buy a car dealership, but that's when the opportunity presented itself.
This business, like every other, has its ups and downs.
Oh, absolutely.
One year it's a banner year. It reminds me of my friends, all the maple syrup makers and sugar bushes. They're having a banner year. They don't know what to do with all the syrup they're making this year. But, you know, the car business is tied into so many things, like the economic health of your country and the world. And
Absolutely.
and so on. But it's, you know what amazes me in listening to you tell the story, that your dad came in here and bought the business in 1980
Yes.
and didn't change the name.
No. Which he gets asked that question often, because, you know, and obviously we attend a lot of Ford functions, and typically, and not just Ford dealers, you go to most Ford store, you go to any car manufacturer, and almost always they are named after the owner. But my dad was not that person. He didn't need the dealership to say his name, and it did not have a bad name, so they just he kept the name.
That says something about who your dad was.
Oh, very much so. He's very unique, because he very, very, very competitive, and always wanted to be the best at everything, but was never looking for the limelight, I guess you want to say. Always wanted to be the best at everything, but did it for himself, I guess is a good way to say it, not for recognition.
Was your dad brought up here in Chazy?
My dad grew up on a farm in Moors.
Well, that explains everything.
Absolutely, hard worker.
How many great people do we know who have a long history, generation after generation, and Moores, Ellenberg, Champlain,
Yes.
Rouse's Point, Chazy?
Yes. Absolutely. Very, very, very hard worker. And if you talk to anybody that played basketball against him in high school, I'm sure he probably flattened a few of them playing against them trying to get the ball. He was very, very, very competitive man. But in order to play basketball, he had to go home after school, get his chores done, walked home to the farm, which was away from school. It was miles, and then walked back to school to practice and to the games so that he was able to play.
How many stories like that have we heard and interviewed? Calvin loves to interview sports figures, and fortunately, since we've both been around for a long time, he's had the opportunity of interviewing a lot of very prominent people from this area who were involved in the world of sports, or refereed, or did some umpired or something. So yes, your dad and those farm boys.
Very, very hard workers. Absolutely, just
Right.
get it done.
I think about our bishop. They're in the valley from
Absolutely.
that same area. I'm sure
Yes.
they knew. I'm sure they knew each other.
Oh,
years
absolutely.
ago.
Yes, absolutely. I know Bishop LaValle. Yes, and I say because he's from our area. But obviously, if you start out with really good work ethics and morals and character, it carries on as hopefully you get a lot older.
Did your dad hire a lot of new people when he took the place over?
He did not at first, if my memory serves me correct, because wasn't I'm gonna say it wasn't necessary. It wasn't necessary at the time, but it just he kept a lot of the original people and then made changes as things changed. A lot smaller store obviously at the time than what it is now.
I've watched changes as I've driven by over the years. It's because this building, part of this building dates way back.
Yes, the actually my office is redone, but this is still the original building. And a lot of people are like, you could put up a new building, and I could put up a new building, but I don't. It's not the same as walking into a building that's been here since the 1920s with all of the character and the hominess when you walk in, because you want people to feel comfortable when they come in. And I think I love new buildings, and I think that they're absolutely great.
I love the old stuff myself.
But you want people to feel really warm and inviting when they come into your establishment. So we've kept the old and modernized it as you need to with the times and changes.
I love the idea of time travel. And if I could go back to 1923 and walk in the door and just be invisible, like the Invisible Man or the Shadow, and stand and watch that original guy sell his first car, I would be so thrilled and delighted. That's all. We don't worry about that.
Sorry about that.
This means somebody's trying to sell a car, and that's a good idea.
Yeah, that is a good idea. That's what we do, right? So we can pay the bills.
Question.
Sure.
Are there any old movies or any old black and white pictures of the dealership through the years? Do you have a scrapbook?
Actually, in my father's office in the back, which actually my sister is her office now, we do have some old pictures back then because my dad, of course, planned everything. So prior to his passing,
I love
we
it.
have pictures up on the wall as the dealership grew, and some of the original owners as well, because he, of course, didn't want to task me with all these things that I would want to do after he passed away, so he did them for us.
You know, when you're an institution in the community, and I'm not kidding, it's one thing to be a school or a hospital, but when you're a car dealership that's been around for what is that, 95 years or 90-some years?
90 years, 90 plus, yeah.
90 plus years. That's amazing.
It is incredible.
And if somebody who watches this program would call Calvin or call me or call Joy or call anybody and say, you know what's in my barn? A car that I bought from Riley Ford in 1933.
Oh my gosh, wouldn't that be crazy? That would be awesome.
I wouldn't be surprised if some of those old cars are.
That would be awesome.
My first car was a 1939 Ford Coupe, standard coupe. That didn't come from here because I bought it from a junkyard on Route 11B, the other side of Malone, and when I was 16 years old. And that was a long time ago. So anyway, Riley Ford's been here for a long time. How many employees?
28 now.
Are you kidding me?
Nope.
You know, this business, like every other business, has changed so much since
Absolutely.
the beginning.
Yes.
Some of it is by design, and some of it is by necessity.
Correct.
Because as we're recording this in the year 2016, you know, we've survived one of the worst economic downturns, is a polite way to talk about it,
Absolutely.
that I can recall since I was a very small child. And our viewers will be excited, no doubt, to learn that the Depression was still going on when I was born. That Depression. So anyway, we've interviewed a lot of survivors. And sadly, we've interviewed some people who weren't survivors during that time period. And a lot of businesses simply had to close their doors. And it's not just the car business that had to change after that downturn. Well, I'm sure you have some poignant memories.
Yes.
Yeah. But as a little kid, did you know that you would be sitting in this office in the best chair in the building next to your sisters?
No.
Did you ever think about that? Well, I think I want to be a dental
A
hygienist
dentist or something. My original thought was not to come to the dealership because when my dad actually bought the dealership, I was in high school. It's a lot different. I didn't grow up in the car business. I mean, I did, but I was in high school.
Yeah.
My girls have grown up their entire lives, so a little different mindset. My original thought that I was going to go away and become a fashion designer, you know. All that fun
I
stuff.
like
But
that. You still have time, you know.
still have time, you know. But I always liked sales without knowing that I liked it, I guess.
Isn't that?
So,
It's in your genes.
I was gonna
whether
say, I
you
think it's
like
in your
it or
genes.
not, of course.
so when I was getting ready to graduate from college, my dad's like, "What are you gonna do?" And I said, "I think that I would like to go try car sales at the dealership." And
It was your suggestion?
Yes.
I cannot believe that.
Yep. And he's like, "Really, Joy?" I go, "No, really."
I could just hear him saying it.
So he's
too.
like, "Oh, it's another one of her passing fancies. She's gonna try, and she's not gonna like it, and she'll move on to what she really wants to do." But obviously, he gave me the opportunity, so he really didn't think I would last. So, like I said, so he stuck me in the corner of the showroom with half a desk and a phone maybe, and a hand calculator. But I loved it. So, and once he saw that I liked it and I did really well, then I really did get an actual desk with a real phone and just continued on. But like I said, he was good because he knew I had to figure it out on my own. Just one of those people. You know, sometimes, you know, if somebody tells you that you should do it, you just don't want to do it because they told you. So you have to figure it out for yourself sometimes.
And you did.
And I did.
And you're probably still figuring it out.
You're figuring it out every day because, you know, just like you said, not just the car dealership, but I mean, business is changing, times are changing, technology is changing, advertising is changing, your cars are changing, and you have to continue to change with the times and continue to grow so that you can continue to be here. Because if you don't continue to grow and change, you will eventually not be here. That's just the way it is. Not my design, but driven by what people want.
And you have to get up early in the morning. Do you dream about this business at night?
Absolutely, that's a part.
How can you not?
How can you not?
I saw somebody on Facebook this morning. I didn't go to sleep because my mind keeps talking to itself all
It
night
does
long.
all night long. How do you turn that off? And it would, yeah.
You don't.
You don't. And that is just one part of it.
The best
So.
part of growing old is when you get, or else you could put a cot over there and take a little nap in the afternoon.
Yes.
But it's difficult to get enough sleep and do it. Some people survive on 5 or 6 hours sleep.
Yes.
Of course, you raised a family along the way.
Yes, have 2 wonderful daughters.
With babies.
With
We
babies.
saw the pictures of
Yes.
babies.
I have 3 grandkids and 1 more on the way.
You know what? That's what it's all about. And 1 more on the way?
Yes.
Come on.
Yes. Very
So
excited.
you have a quartet.
Yes.
And the oldest is how old?
Carson turned 2 in December, and Madison turned 2 in February.
And you, did any of your kids decide to come to work for Riley Ford?
On their own, both of them did, absolutely.
Of
Yes.
course I knew that.
Yes, I'm like, of course you did. Yes, yes, absolutely. Jenna, excuse me, sorry, my allergies,
Oh,
who
it's
is
all right.
the service manager, she actually has been working here since she was 13.
Is that possible?
Yes.
You know, I think she was in a television commercial when she was 13.
Well, I was going to say, technically, she started working when she was 3, Calvin, right?
Well, think about that.
Yeah, I think she was 3. That was crazy.
Oh, it used to be cute to put kids in television commercials. Now it's cute again. How many commercials do you see on
Yes,
television with
with
those
kids.
beautiful little kids?
Yes.
Those marketing people, they're so smart.
They are so smart, and that was actually my mom's idea, and that just it grew from there. So what is really cool is people will come in to this day and see the girls and go, "Oh my gosh, I've
don't
seen
you
you grow
love
up on commercials."
But that's,
it's
when I say hometown, that's what we mean when we say
Yes.
hometown. And you know, it's nice to have a business, whatever you're selling. Whether it's, I met a guy that sells candles, a lady that sells candles in her home today, whether it's candles or cars.
right.
It's nice to live in a community where people say, yeah, that's Riley Ford. You know,
Right.
they've been friends of mine, they've been neighbors in
Yes.
this community.
For years and years and years, and that really is what we're all about. And I mean, and we still to this day have a lot of customers that just stop by to say hi and have a coffee and hang out and
Isn't
talk
it
to us
great?
because they are friends of ours and they've been buying here for years, so we've known them that long. And I personally, I mean, I'm selling different generations now, which is so cool. Like I started out selling maybe the grandfather and then the children, and now I'm seeing their grandchildren come in and buy from me. So I am that old, but that's just really, really cool to me. I mean, just the relationship that we have with a lot of our customers is really, really, really important to us.
You were just telling me that, and my mind, of course, wanders. My mind talks to itself when I'm awake, never mind when I'm asleep. And I remember an old guy whose name you might have heard when you were a little girl, Otto Bowles.
No.
He ran a dealership in Plattsburgh,
Okay.
and he sold cars until he was almost 100. I think he lived to be about 101. And
Oh my
I was
goodness.
at a dealership one day, and he came hobbling in the store with a contract
Isn't that incredible?
that he had just signed.
But he loved doing it, obviously.
Are you
So it
kidding
wasn't-
me?
So,
God knows how many tens of thousands of vehicles the guy.
but he loved doing it,
Isn't
obviously.
that's
It just,
amazing. See what you're in for?
mm-hmm.
You know, you
And that
told
would
me.
be me. I mean, I love.
Oh, you'll be here. For
I
a while.
love being here because people say, because my husband's retired, and they're like, when are you gonna retire? And he's like, let me see. Her answer is never, because I like being here. Just I
Well,
come to work and I enjoy what I do.
it's like an old pair of shoes that's falling apart, and I throw it in the garbage, and my wife throws them in the garbage, and I pull them out of the garbage because they feel good to put on. That's why I'm glad Kelvin's not showing my feet now, because I have a pair of shoes I've had for about 20 years that should have been in the
That your
garbage.
wife says you better not wear those in public.
But you know what? You just said a mouthful. We've mentioned the word hometown so many times since our program started. That's what this is. And people love to come in here and have a cup of coffee, and you love to come in here
Oh, I
for
love
the
it.
camaraderie, for
Yes.
the excitement.
Very
Because
enjoyable.
I'm sure when somebody signs a contract, does anybody ever scream out loud when they make a sale?
I mean, like get excited? Oh, I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, absolutely. I mean,
I've
it's
seen
exciting.
places, car dealerships, where you hear a hoot and a holler,
Hooting and hollering and stuff.
because
Get
that means
excited.
somebody's happy. He
Somebody
did it.
absolutely
The
is
people
happy.
are going out laughing and
Oh,
joking
absolutely.
because they got a new vehicle.
Because they got a new vehicle, and I mean, it's something that we do every day, but it's really exciting for the customer. I mean, you think about it, it might be a brand new truck, or it might be the brand new Mustang that we looked at, or it might be a used vehicle, but it can be life-changing for the customer sometimes when they come in. And the Mustang makes me think of a couple, and they owned a very large farm, and of course, farmers work, but they bought a Mustang. And he was at the point that, I'm going to buy myself this Mustang. And I think if I buy the Mustang, then I might actually take Sundays off and drive the Mustang and take a day off from the farm, and it did. So it was life changing for them because he wasn't working 7 days a week. In the summertime, they would take off on Sundays and they would drive their Mustang all over, and it was just thrilling and exciting to see that for them because it gave them time together. And sometimes we forget that is what an automobile can do for somebody. Or it might be that they had a broken down car, so their car's broke down and they need to get something new, or it's their first car. But every vehicle sale is an exciting experience for the customer, and that's what we focus on, that when they come in, that everything is to perfection and they are 100% completely satisfied, because that is what is important to us.
So how many employees do you think, how many former employees, retired people, talk about Riley Ford when they're having their dinner at night? I mean, I gotta tell you that you don't know this, but it doesn't matter. I'm gonna tell you anyway. 'Cause
Okay.
my mouth has to go. But at Easter time, I'm sitting there and talking to a dear friend of mine whose first name is Nick. And
I love Nicholas.
and you know what we talk about? Crawling under trucks and doing transmissions
So he
for
is-
100 years.
He was an incredible transmission person. I mean, there's a finesse to doing that, and he was amazing.
It gets harder and harder
It
as
does.
things get more complicated as time goes on.
And he was awesome because obviously he was great, and this goes back to when my dad was still alive and said, I don't know how much longer I'm going to be able to do this. I really should start training somebody to take over transmission repairs. And obviously transmissions have changed, but the type of work that it is has not, and it has to be somebody with patience and finesse to do it. So he trained a couple people to do his job before he retired, which was amazing, because really, did it matter to him who took his place? You know what I mean? It didn't have to matter to him, and some people just leave and say see you later, but it did matter to him because he cared, because he wanted to leave a good legacy, that he trained somebody really well, and hopefully the technicians who are here now that he trained and helped will train the new technicians when they come in as well. It's just this great cycle.
It's amazing because those hometown businesses that we've been talking about since we came here very often hire townspeople
Absolutely.
who have a legacy because they worked here, and like Nick learned the transmission business by the seat of his pants.
Yes,
But as
self-taught.
time went on, then you got to go to school, and you got to
A lot of schooling.
and a lot of young people aren't willing to make that. It's like becoming a volunteer fireman in Chazy.
It's big commitment with a lot
It's a
of
huge commitment.
lot of time, and you bring up training, and I'm not just saying that because I'm a Ford dealer. I mean, you go to Champlain Valley Technical and ask them at CV Tech, do you want to be a technician? A lot of them, that are in the tech training program will say yes, you do, and then ask how many want to become a Ford technician. They have to really want to become a Ford technician because they are the best of the best, and they require the most training. A lot of manufacturers, you can go to school for a week, and they are 100% totally certified to fix any vehicle that comes in their repair shop. If you wanted to become a Ford certified trained technician in 1 year, you would have to take class every single solitary day for the entire year if you wanted to get it done with a year. So obviously nobody does that because you have to work and then take your classes, but you are the best of the best if you are going to become a Ford technician. So we have the best of the best here.
Does it surprise you that she knows her business well? When I say invested, look at how much of your life you've invested here. It doesn't.
Not that old though, remember.
I know. But at 17, you can pick up a lot of experience.
Yes, definitely.
I'm just thinking about 4 grandchildren.
Yes, yeah, it's so much fun. Oh my gosh, I absolutely love it. It's great.
Where did you go to school? You said you went to
Northeastern.
college.
Well, I went to Northeastern,
College.
obviously graduated from Champlain. I actually went to Clinton Community College for 2 years.
No kidding.
Yeah, and I did the business program there, which was great, and it was just what I needed
I
to
thought
give
you
me.
were going to tell me you majored in chemistry and ended up being a
No,
car salesman.
no, absolutely not me. No.
I think you had an idea, even when you went to college, that you were going to spend the rest of your life
maybe.
Trying to put a dent in that
Trying
chair.
to,
Right
there you go. And follow my dad's
How-
big shoes.
So how many other family members have been connected with Riley Ford
My
over
mom,
the years?
obviously my mom didn't start out initially working here with my father. She came a few years later. She worked at that time it was Arist Labs. That was prior to
We
Wyatt.
know those stories, don't
Yeah,
we, Calvin?
and say we know
Over
those
and
stories.
over and over again.
So she was there during the glory days when they, were just booming and very productive. But he needed help here, so she came then and helped set up the computer system and did whatever needed to be done at the time. So she worked here for a good many years.
Her name?
Pardon me?
Her name?
Janet. My mom's name, my mom's name is Janet. And then my sister came. My sister actually started working here in high school. She started before we graduated. And
What's your sister's name?
my sister's name is Jane Dubray. And she has been here ever since and is a big, big help to me and everyone at the dealership. So she has actually been here since 1981. So longer than myself, but she is older. But she, but she knew, you like that, but she knew that she wanted to come
We'll
here.
give her a chance to get back
Yeah,
at you.
give her a chance to get back at me. She knew she wanted to come here and has worked in the office ever since and been the office manager. As I said, my Uncle Gerald was here prior to my dad, and he continued to stay here until, unfortunately, his passing in 2007. My cousin, Tony Roberts, has been here for 19 years. He started out in sales, and now he's the sales manager and is a huge, huge, huge help to myself and everybody at the dealership. I'd mentioned my daughter, Jenna, has been here since she was 13 in a different capacity, and I always just loved being here. Like, you could even see it when she was that young, that she just either loved the craziness of the car dealership and you love being here, or you really, really don't. Our younger daughter, Jessica, is now here. She is the business finance manager. She just came a few years ago in a permanent capacity, but it took her a little longer to figure out she wanted to be here. But very excited that she is here with us.
I think, I could just see a hyphenated name on the sign out front, Riley Roberts.
No, I said
Because there's not enough letters. The
There's
sign's
not-
not big enough for Van Movement.
no,
So.
it's not. So, and I like I like the Riley Ford name, and again, it's just part of who we are. So you wouldn't want to change that, or anything. And then my husband Barton, after he retired, actually helps out whenever we need help in a lot of different capacities as well.
And that's a familiar story to us too, where family members, spouses
Yes.
say, "Yeah, I'll come over. You need to put
Oh,
something here."
absolutely, and loves being here, and everybody loves it when he's here, because whatever needs to be done, he will help out in any way at all possible. So
It's nice to work at a place that has name recognition.
yes, because that is important.
Even if you took the word Ford off the end of it, Riley
Yes.
is a name that's known to thousands of people, no matter what kind of a car they drive or plan to drive.
Mhm.
And when we talk about hometown, we also included in that same sentence another word, and it's called community.
Yes.
And Riley Ford is a member of this community that's been a scone since 1923, and it ain't going anywhere
Right.
in the next 2 weeks.
Yes. I say we try to help out wherever we can, whenever we can. Calvin knows that. I mean, St. Mary's School and a lot of.
That's
Different-
important too, I think.
Oh, absolutely, because you want to. That's important. I mean, obviously, we're successful because of the people that patronize us, and it's very important that we give back to the community that has supported us, because it's an important relationship that we have. It can't be one-sided.
It sounds mundane. Of course, it's the hue and cry of Calvin and Hometown Cable, and it's just been my mantra ever since I first moved here. And every day's not a holiday when you grow older, as I have in this community. So you have bad times, and people. When you've been good to people, it's the old saying, "What goes around
Comes
around."
Yes, sir.
And I've interviewed so many people, and I say, "Why do you do it?" I feel as though I have to give back.
Yes. because you know, without people patronizing you, you're not going to be here. So you have to. That's just really, really,
Yeah.
really
But
important that you
it's
give
nice to
back.
have that strong image in the community that goes beyond buying and selling cars and trucks. People like you, they trust you.
Yes.
You know, there are things that are connected with some dealerships, and
Mhm.
they all claim to give you the best price
Oh, absolutely. You're
and
going to hear
the
that
best
everybody
service
is.
and
Yes.
so on. But when you're in a community this long, you've developed such a reputation that you have to strive every day not to screw it up.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you've gone home at night saying, "Oh my God."
Yeah, I mean, everybody has bad days, but 99.9% of the time, our days are good. And I'm glad you brought up, you know, everybody tells you that they have a great price, and everybody will tell you that they have great service. One of the things that we pride ourselves on is we are a President's Award winner with Ford Motor Company we've won it over 20 times, which is incredible. I mean, most dealerships don't win it once. So, and that was a big thing that my dad had always focused on, because that tells our customers that we are always striving every day to provide them with the best possible experience at the dealership. Because part how you win the President's Award is you have to meet or exceed your market share, because obviously Ford gives us objectives every year that we have to meet, and obviously our goal is to exceed them. So you have to sell what they require of you, and then you also have to provide them a good experience. So they're telling Ford Motor Company, you know, on a scale of 1 to 10, that we're a 10, that we, you know, that the salesperson treated them well, that the business manager, when she signed with them, it was a great signing experience, that when you went out and looked at your new vehicle, it was a 10, it wasn't an 8.5, because that doesn't count. A 10 is what counts. And that, you know, we followed up with them to see if there was anything that we could do for them, or did we provide that on a scale of 1 to 10, the 10 experience, because that is what separates us. And it's not that we bought into that, that was what my dad always said will be the difference between people who are going to be successful and continue to be here, is that you will take care of your customers, because if you take care of your customers, they will take care of you. And I remember, and Tony, I'm sure will tell you this, when he first got into sales, you know, his dad, you know, he asked his dad, you know, what do you have for advice? You know, what are you going to give me for advice so I'll be successful? And he's, be a man of your word. And that's it. Because your word, your word is your word.
You know, when you set a high standard like that, sometimes it's hard to get on top of that ladder every single morning when you go to work. But
that's the ladder, though.
That once again is North Country.
Yes.
I'm sure there are a lot of little communities around the North Country, and people might be living in some of those who are watching Hometown Cable today, who would say the same thing. But we feel as though that's something that sets this area apart.
Yes.
People care about each other.
Yes.
They care about patronizing. You know, we hear buy local, buy local, buy local.
Mm-hmm.
It makes a difference, and that's why this North Country has sustained itself through thick and thin.
Yes.
That's why we are, in some measure, I guess, insulated against some of the tremendous upturns and downturns that we've seen around the rest of the country.
Mm-hmm.
We're survivors. If nothing, we're survivors here, right?
Yes. And the other thing is, I mean, it's a team atmosphere here at the dealership. I mean, I'm sure, Calvin, you'll walk around and you can, you're welcome to talk to anybody that works here with us. But that is, I mean, everybody works together as a team to get the job done. We've had a lot of long-time employees that have been here and have been an instrumental part of our success here at the dealership, because the big difference is we care. And long time ago, you try to figure out, you know, well, what makes what makes a good person for you to work with or not. And there are people who care and people who don't care. You can have somebody who can really get the job done, but they don't really care about your customers. Well, you can't continue to have them here because we care. So you move on until you find the right people, and we have a great group of people here at the dealership.
Have you still got people here that have been here like 15 years?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yes. Tony, like I said, has been here 19 years. Our accountant has been here, it's 15 or 16 years. My parts manager has been here I think it's, I'm gonna cheat and look at my note. He's been here 15 years. My accountant actually has been here 18 years. I have a technician who's been here. Ray Parent has been here 16 years. Parts manager is John Gothier. Gothier is a very well-known name in Moores. In Moores as well.
There you go. Another Morris.
He's a
family.
farmer. Still does farming on the side. He just absolutely loves it, and has done has been very successful and grown a lot since he's come here at the dealership. But we've had a lot of people who've been here a very long time.
So what's your title here now?
Dealer principal, general manager,
Don't you love it?
jack of all trades. Yes.
Oh, and this is the gal that's been talking for 23 minutes now, who said, I don't know what I'm going to do. You guys have to decide. You know what? It's your place. It's your life.
Yes.
There was a program on television, this is
It's
your life.
This is my life.
But it is.
Yes.
And as I ask questions and you give the answers from your heart,
Yes.
because you haven't had time to practice that
No,
much.
and I didn't get any questions ahead of time, Calvin.
But that's the way it ought to be, because that way our viewers find out who you are
Yes.
and why you're Ron Roberts' daughter
Yes.
and why you're so emotional about the history of this place,
Yes.
because it's been a part of your life since you were a little
Yes.
tiny little
Yes.
girl.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm sure if you ask Tony, he'll say he's heard a few of those things. My dad was a great teacher, and his expectations, as we talk about the expectations that I have today for everybody taking care of our customers, they are his. And there was no compromise. He expected a lot out of everybody, and he expected even more out of myself and my sister, because that's the way it was. So
That's how coaches get winning teams,
absolutely.
you know.
You give 100% when he won 150%.
That's a legacy.
So, and we had a few battles, obviously, in our
No,
days.
you never did.
Yeah, just a couple, but he was a great teacher.
And I'm sure you are too, and your kids will tell me the same thing if I ask them in private.
Well, so
My
I think
mom-
I am, but I think I could try to be a bit of a better communicator. Sometimes you think you say it and you're like, yeah, that's not how I meant to come out. But working on that.
But your dad's legacy shows all through this building.
Thank you.
And the legacy of the guy who started the business in 1923. I think you've done amazingly well.
Tried hard.
We're still gonna spend a little time talking with other people and looking around the shop.
Great.
So you are the best.
Well, thank you very much again for coming in and spending time with us. I appreciate it very, very much.
Next chapter coming right up. I feel, as I said to your mother, I feel like this is your life. Because I've seen you guys on television since you were little teeny kids. When are you going to do the next TV commercial?
Today. It's a good time for it.
Yep. Always a good time.
I love it. Jenna
Yes.
and Jessica.
Yes.
And I can say that it's going to be grandchild number 4.
Grandchild number 4 in
A
July.
boy.
A boy.
10 pounds, 9 ounces, 23.7 inches long.
We're hoping for a little bit smaller than that. But as long as he's healthy,
What's
that's
his
all
name
that
gonna be?
matters. Hayden.
You've already decided?
Yes.
Hayden's a good name.
Yeah, so
Spelled the conventional way, Hayden?
yes.
Ooh, I love it. It's so great to see both of you.
Thank you.
I'll tell you, this family tradition just goes on and on and on and on. Was there ever any question in your mind that you were going to be connected with Riley Ford when you grew up? Not that you're not still growing up.
Yeah.
Not for me. During high school, I worked here part-time. I was here after I was done school here on the weekends, and I just loved being here. It was never work for me. I enjoyed being around everybody that was here. I enjoyed being with my mom, so it was never a question for me that I wanted to be here. I didn't know what I would be doing, but I was happy just being here. So for me, it was never a question wanting to be involved.
How about you?
For me, it was always a question.
And still is every day of the week.
She wanted to do something different.
Yes, I went to school actually for criminal justice, and up until
You went to Clinton also?
No, I went to Elmira
Oh,
College.
you did?
And then I actually started a grad program at Plattsburgh State, and I worked in the office. And I did one semester, and I realized after being here that it was much more important to me than what I had realized. And this position in the business office opened up. So I applied and went to training and all that fun stuff, and I absolutely love it.
Well, I'm sure your mother would say there was never any question in my mind. I know what they were going to both do.
That was one thing growing up. It was never, we never felt like we had to be here. It was whatever we
You know,
felt we wanted to do.
why
So.
I sat her in the chair and wouldn't let her pass me for 30 minutes or something because I wanted to get her whole story.
Yes.
And, you know, she knew fairly early that it was going to happen here. But like you, both of you, she said there was never any great pressure.
No.
It just was there. And, you know, the rest of us are just as pleased as we can be that you both decided to come here.
Well, thank you.
But who
Yeah.
knows what your future's going to be? Who knows what's going to happen 20 years from now? You might be a criminal lawyer
You never know.
or a city cop or something.
You never know. I'm happy here. I really am. We bought a house. My husband agreed to stay here. His family's 8 hours away. So I envision we'll be here for a while.
It's just meant to, some things are meant to be.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I have this theory that there are no coincidences. We're just filling in the blanks as we go. We're connecting those dots in the picture of life there with the dots and the numbers on it.
Yes.
I couldn't agree more.
Absolutely.
But the point that I wanted to make in the beginning with your mom and with you and I did with your grandfather is the fact that it was meant to be. This became his home away from home, has become your mother's home away from home. And it's like old home days every day when you walk in the door. It's like members of your family
Yes.
and people in the community that have bought cars for generations, many of them, and they're back again. So
Absolutely.
it's not an unpleasant thing altogether to walk in the door.
Good. We strive for that every day.
Even though when you're pregnant, you're entitled to be a little crazy from time to time. You know that, right?
That's what they say. I'm trying not to pull that card yet.
So tell me exactly what both of you do. How about you?
I'm the service manager.
Ta-da.
Yes.
So that entails.
Well, I run and manage the service department, so we have myself, 2 other service advisors, and 6 technicians currently. So I help keep everybody on the same page, keep everything serviced for the sales department. We do inspections, tires, alignments, fix up their used cars for them. We do a whole bunch of things.
Did you know Nick when he worked here?
I did.
I was
grew up-
telling your
I-
mom about Nick because he's been a dear friend of mine
Yep.
ever since the first time he ever turned a wrench on a transmission.
Of course, we grew up here, so I grew up around Nick, and I had the pleasure of working with him back in service for a few years before he retired. So.
Anybody who owns and works in a business wish they could have about 10 people like Nick around.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely.
So that's your job every day.
That's it.
And you're sticking with it.
Absolutely.
And you, my dear,
I am the business manager. So when a customer comes in and they decide that they're ready to buy a vehicle, I sit down with them and go over all the information about the financing, service plans, products and features, benefits that we have to offer to the customer to kind of protect their vehicle and make sure that we're in compliance with all the lending laws, Privacy Act, that sort of information. So
you know what dawns on me? And I say this with a broad smile on my face. It pleases me because I've always, as I said in an article I just wrote about my wife for a newspaper coming up on her birthday, I've always bowed to what I call the distaff side because I've always felt as though the female side was always the superior gender. But it wasn't always that so in the public eye. And so it wasn't that many generations ago when it would have been unheard of for your mother to be in her position and for you 2 ladies to be in your positions in a car dealership.
yes.
Have you ever thought about that?
It's something that I've noticed more as I'm here and dealing with things. I think probably she would have noticed it a lot sooner, but it's I was fortunate enough when I started, she was already in service with 2 other females in the office, my mom, Aunt Jane. So I kind of walked into an environment already here. But
Well, the women in this place personify what Wonder Woman was meant to be all about. But it's
Yes.
true, and I'm, for some people are going to be unhappy with me for bringing that up. But that gender reversal in business and so many other things. I write articles for Strictly Business magazine, and they did one about the role reversals and so on. But for me, at least here in the North Country, it's not an issue anymore.
Nope, not as much as what it used to be. It was a challenge at first for the 3 of us girls in service because we did have some people that would still come in looking for somebody else because they weren't sure that we could help them. So we just proved
I'd
that we.
love to be here. The next time some older gentleman comes in and you start to talk to him and they say, haven't you got a man that I can talk to?
That's exactly how it went,
I
and
said,
this was just a
"You got
few
one
weeks
right
ago.
here. We're going out back to settle this
And
right
you know
now."
what? It was awesome. We took that with a grain of salt and showed him exactly why we could do whatever it was that he was looking for, and maybe 10 times better. So it was great.
Yeah.
She
10 times
I
better.
wasn't.
love it,
I
don't
wasn't at
you?
the counter, so one of the other girls had the pleasure of handling that. But it was great. They said, "Well, I think I should talk to the manager." And she said, "Well, she'll be back shortly, and then maybe she can help
Don't
you."
you love it? Don't you
So
just
it's great.
love it?
It's
Yes.
great.
So you guys obviously both enjoy your work. You enjoy your family connection. You enjoy the memory of your grandfather and those people who came before him at Riley Ford here in Chazy. So I guess, at least until that baby is born, you'll be coming in here. I want to know who gets here first in the morning.
her by a long shot.
I do.
Do you really?
I do, and actually not as early as I would like to. But kids modify your lifestyle, so.
Oh, no, you're kidding me.
Yeah.
Yes.
Talking to somebody who raised 15, so I can tell you what they did
And
to my
yes.
life.
Our hours are a little bit different as well. She's 8 to 5, if you can do that, and we're 9 to 6. So hours are very flexible here because it's all about customer service, but the sales and the service department vary. So
Yeah, because the business ends at 5 doesn't mean you're done at 5. You have things that still come in and, situations that need to be handled, so we do that. And
Another question I'll ask you, and then we'll wrap up this portion of the interview. Did either one of you have to take classes outside this dealership anywhere to learn what you need to know for the business?
it wasn't required. Everything that Ford does for training is online now, but there were some seminars and business classes specifically for service that we enrolled in to just try and get some knowledge
Always seminars.
outside.
Oh, my
It was great because it's, there's not a lot in our immediate area, so we ended up having to travel to Boston or Albany to get those courses, but you hear
You can
and learn
work
a lot.
Vegas in there?
I
and,
know. Hawaii was looking really good,
Hawaii?
but we didn't make it there.
Did you go to any classes? No?
when I first started, I needed to take a course to learn about the laws and regulations involved with what I do and kind of how to do my job because it's a unique perspective. So there was a 4-day class that I went to. After that, it's like she said, it's just online training. So
And you learn by experience. You don't have to screw up really badly too many times before you say, "Oh, I'm never going to do that again."
You remember those moments, that's for sure,
Absolutely.
and you learn from them.
I'm just charmed to meet both of you.
Well, thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Spend a little time with you at Riley Ford. I never dreamed this was going to happen. A few hours ago when Calvin said, "Guess where we're going tomorrow?" And I was pleased to do that. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you very much.
Have a good baby.
thank you.
See you later.
Thank
you.
We were just listening to you out there thinking how.
No matter what room we go in, there's another Roberts heard from. How are you, Tony?
I'm well, how are you?
See, I have a little hair left.
Well, I have littler than you.
Mine gets sparser
Yeah.
and sparser like every day, so I don't even comb it anymore. Just put a hat on it. How are you, my friend?
I'm good, thank you.
I said another Roberts heard from. Where do you fit into this family? Tell the folks.
So, Gerald is my father. So, Ronald is my uncle. Joy's my cousin. Jess and Jenna are my cousins. Been here for a long time.
Well, we have to tell the whole family story, And we're hoping to get some really good, juicy stories in here. So how did it start for you?
How did it start for me? Well, I had wanted to get in the car business from the time that I grew up in it. My dad was always around sales and in the car business, so that was kind of a dream for me. I started a little differently. I started a used car lot myself.
I didn't know that.
I did.
Here?
No, in Ross's Point. So if you look at the building that is next to the Bull Mart in Ross's Point, I started that with Scott and Dick Cole. We
Son of a
ran that
gun.
for a few years.
I told you I'd learn something.
Yeah. That didn't work out well for us, but the passion for the car business did. So I came and saw my uncle. Went through probably the hardest interview that I've ever had in my life. 2 days.
No, come on.
2 days before he offered me a job, which I look back at, and that was just his personality. He wanted to know.
Isn't that amazing?
Absolutely. He wanted to know what my way of thinking was and what I was about, and he asked
It
me
wasn't
lots of
just a little
questions.
nepotism of, hire your kid or.
Oh, absolutely not. It was.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah. So we spent 2 days talking about what I would do if I came here, and as they say, the rest is history. It'd be I think 19 years this year that I've been here. And
Isn't that amazing? Calvin and I mentioned early in the show today, it's been 19 years since I started doing the show with Calvin.
right.
Service, you have a call
So
line
that's-
1, service line
Yeah.
1.
That is incredible.
And a lot of things have changed in the automobile industry in 19 years. When I started here, the dealership had one computer. If you look in our office now, you can see how important computers have become in the car business. There's so much information out there, and it's all real-time information. So when somebody comes in to trade in a vehicle, by us having access to all this information, it helps us to give them a lot more for their vehicle, because we know exactly to the minute what things are doing and where it's coming from. In the olden days when I first started, you get a booklet mailed to you once a month about what happened at the auctions in the last month, so you could kind of go through and search. Now you can put a VIN number in and look at unlimited
You
amount
can watch
of
auctions
information.
in real time now.
Absolutely, yeah.
People
yeah.
don't realize that. There is no aspect of human life unless you live in a deep forest somewhere that isn't affected by that internet.
Oh, absolutely.
I talk about it even when the camera's not running to people about how when I was a little kid, I always loved books. I'd have to go to a library. What did I want? The first present when I was a little kid, I wanted a library card so I could go to the library. And even as an adult for a long time after I was in the radio business, I would go to the library to do research for people. Nowadays,
Instant gratification.
but isn't it amazing? All the world's history, is right there at the
Absolutely.
click of a button. And in your business and in almost any other, it's changed the whole way you look at things.
There's so many resources out there for the customer as well as for us to use, and it's changed the way we do business. It changed the way people buy cars. It used to be people get out on a nice day and they drive from dealership to dealership and do
Yeah,
it almost
true.
as a family thing. Now they
Absolutely.
do all their research or a lot of their research on the internet, pick 1 or 2 places to go visit, and then that's how they do their shopping. So it's changed tremendously.
It's changed the way people negotiate price. It's changed the
Absolutely.
way you think about
Yeah.
the relationship with customers.
I think about my father when I first started with that one computer, how much he would fight with it. I can't imagine what he would do now with everything is done. Every aspect of it's done now. on the
Joy,
computer.
we were talking about that with Joy earlier today, and it reminded me of when I started as a crime victims advocate for 8 years after I left the radio business. She talked about how sparse the office was and the first desk and so
Yeah.
on. My desk was 2 filing cabinets and a wooden door. And no computer for a year or 2, so everything was
Right.
done by hand. So you develop a certain appreciation.
Definitely changed. I'm glad that I've been exposed to both sides of it.
Yeah.
I think I understand the business better having done it the manual way prior. It's kind of, I guess, look at calculators. If you never learn how to calculate math,
Well,
if you just
yeah.
relied on the calculator,
Sure.
then you could come up with the answer, but you don't necessarily understand it. So having to have done it without computers, I think it helps to understand the business better.
See, Tony's so young. I'm thinking about my college days. I went to Clarkson for a year before they asked me never to come back and never go to their town again. I wanted to be a civil engineer. There were no calculators. You know what you used? A slide rule. I don't know if you even know what a slide rule
I think I've
is,
seen them in a
Tony.
museum.
Yeah. Well, I'm a walking museum, so.
Yeah.
But those were the days. Those were totally different days. Totally different days. So what's your function here?
I'm the general sales manager.
Of course you are. Can't you tell? Doesn't he have that aspect of, hey, this is my
Josh Bayshard, he's a sales manager.
How are you, Josh?
Good, how are you?
I'm delighted. And you thought you were going to be asked any questions here today?
Oh, I thought I was gonna get out of it.
Oh, so what's it like? I mean, you don't have to tell the truth, but what's it like sitting across from this guy?
It's something that you learn something every day in this business, and luckily enough, I get to sit across from Tony every day to learn a lot because I'm new to the car industry, and I've learned quite a bit in the 10 months that I've been here about the industry.
10 months, you really can absorb a lot these days. It's not like it took 3 years before. In 10 months, you can really soak up a lot of stuff, I was so surprised when I walked in an hour and a half ago and saw Ken Olson, who's been here for only a few months, and I've known him since he was a tiny baby and through all of his years as a state trooper and a hockey player and who knows what all. So you've been here 19 years.
19 years.
But it was in your blood before that.
If
you were selling used cars.
I grew up, like I said, around the car business with my dad being here, and I've been a true blue Ford person all growing up, so I think it just was natural for me. Again, I'm the two best teachers in the world between my Uncle Ronald and my father. I've got my uncle's tie on today that I thought I would wear because he means so much to me and meant so much to me. So, I know a lot of car dealers that I've met over the years, and a lot of personalities and meetings in different places that I've been, and I don't think anybody in the industry that I've met had more understanding of it and a better outlook of it than my father and my uncle did. So having learned from them,
and that is not
special.
to say that everything was easy.
Oh no, never.
They were taskmasters. They invented the phrase taskmasters.
Absolutely.
They had expectations, or should I say demands, because they wanted you to know the business the right way.
Oh, yeah, they were not the easiest bosses I've ever worked for, let me tell you that for sure.
But in retrospect, looking back on it, it was a good way to learn the business because you learned it right.
Changed my relationship with my father, getting to spend that much time with him.
I'm sure it did. Under those conditions,
when you get,
every single day.
When you spend time with your parents, I look at my relationship with my kids. It's different when you're younger. Your parents don't know anything, and then as you get older, and when I started working with my father here, I was quite a bit older. So now I understood that my father knew a little bit more.
Mark Twain, Samuel Clemens said that.
Yeah.
My dad was a certain way, and I left home, and I said, this is the stupidest man I've ever seen in my life. And he came back a couple of years later and said, how did he get so smart in a couple of years? But isn't that true?
Absolutely. And that made me appreciate what I had with him much more. So, and my uncle taught me lots of things. He's a very, very smart person. Just a wonderful person. One of the things we would argue a lot, my uncle and I,
well, of course,
about ideas, but one thing he really had a knack for doing is keeping that separate from, he didn't make it personal. You could be arguing about something with him, and it would be time for lunch, and he'd say, okay, let's go to lunch, and you'd talk about hockey, you'd talk about family, you'd talk about all those things, and then come back and refinish your ideas of what was going on. So he taught me that business is business. Your family's your family, and you can keep things separate and keep them the same. So, again, lessons from him that I don't think I could have learned from other people.
You've taught me a lot today, as everybody has that I've spoken with since the beginning with Joy, and that is the importance of family, the importance of working for an organization where you really feel connected. You're not going to work because some son of a gun screams at you every day and you make your little paycheck and go home and swear I'm with your wife and hit the kids, because this is who you are. This has been who you are since the first time you came here. since the first time your uncle came here and your father came here. We're going back to 1980.
Well, you spend a third of your life at work, right? I mean,
Well,
you want to make sure that it's a place that
sometimes more.
can
If you
enjoy.
gotta get somebody who wants to sign at 8 o'clock at night, you gotta.
yeah, the posted hours aren't very accurate. You're here till the work's done.
But you know, it's an education. What do you could teach a college course in what you do and get paid a lot of money because you know a lot more about it than some people who are teaching a similar course in a college or university.
Real world
Because
experience is
real world
valuable.
experience.
There actually is a university about the car business that you
Is
can
there
go and
really?
attend.
You're kidding.
I believe it's called Norwood. I'm not sure the exact name, but
I don't know. We'll have to look it up.
there's an actual university that a lot
I didn't know
of people can attend that is purely about the car business, all aspects of the car business. So fixed operations, sales, a lot of second, third generation families, kids will go there and attend to learn how to run a car dealership. So I think that's great, but there's nothing that can beat real world experience.
You got it. And you know, I've been waiting to see the old pictures all day. So when we go and talk to Jane, we're going to look at old pictures. We're going to see more cotton picking models of tractors than you ever seen in your life. But the old photographs, huh?
Not him.
Yeah.
His father had a collection.
Yeah, my father had a big collection. A lot of the tractors actually back there were things that when my father would find certain ones that were collectible, he'd say, "Okay, Ronald, you should get this one, and we'll get that one." So they kind of did that together over the years because it was growing up on a farm and something that they were both passionate about. So
If you come by a car truck, maybe we'll show you the old pictures and the old
absolutely,
tractors.
we bring customers back there all the time.
Oh,
We
do
get
you really?
a lot of customers
That's
that'll
what a
come
coffee
in.
pot is. I mean, come
Yeah.
on.
They'll pick out they'll see something in the dealership that'll make me think, and we bring customers back there all the time and show them the old pictures and how. I mean, you're going to see back there pictures of this showroom, which was a stable at one point. So
Oh, I didn't know that. No, come on.
absolutely, yeah. And you'll see the pictures back there. So it's come a long ways.
We're going to turn the camera around. Calva's got to pick it up again for the 800,000th time in its career. Tony, great to see you, my friend.
Very good to see you. Thank you so much for coming in.
See
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
And you can tell him after we leave that you really were the star of the show. I mean, you know.
Young, good-looking guy like that
I
takes
love
all
it.
the spotlight.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
See you later. Another Roberts girl heard from. How are you, Jane?
I'm very well. How are you?
Jane Dupree.
Dubray.
Dupree.
Yeah.
You were so busy on the phone selling stuff and doing stuff that we couldn't talk to you for an hour and 45 minutes. So everybody can go home at 1:30 because we made enough money today, thanks to this lady who sits in the chair. So
Yeah.
what's cooking with you?
Lots of stuff. I'm always cooking in this dealership.
Where we just snuck into the back room here. We've been smelling chili, and that's not fair when you're an old fat guy like me who's made his whole reputation on opening his mouth and shoveling stuff in there. So nobody offered me a bite, and these people profess to be my friends, so they'll pay the price. Look at this. I love it. So what's your job here at Riley Ford, Jane?
My job, oh well, pertains to everything. Take care of customers, do paperwork, check things out, everything. Motor vehicle.
You know, it's a little different when you're born into the business, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, born into the business, and my dad, started out, and when he bought the business, he kept us going. So we just, wanted to set the garage, so we started at an early age when we were teenagers. So
You know, I've asked Joy, I asked the girls, I asked Tony, I asked everybody, was there ever a question in your mind that you were going to end up here when you were a young person, a teenager? Did you ever say, I'm getting out of this cotton picking town?
no, never crossed my mind.
Really? You always knew you were going to work here?
Yeah, well, yes. It just came along.
You know, it must be a good thing for the family because everybody I've talked to, unless they're very good fibbers, say they are happy to be a part of this group.
Yes, yes, very happy to be a part of this group. And my dad, like I said, he bought the dealership and he put us to work.
The first thing I learned when I walked in the door that was 1980.
Correct, 1980. So
Oh, 36
years, yes.
You were just 1.5 at the time. Why is she laughing like that? I love to flatter people.
Thank you.
This building has changed so much over the years, it's hard for me to walk in and even find my way.
No, yeah, so you've changed a lot out of the years, Dad. You know, like back in 1990, we added on the building in the back, which was 26 years ago. That was when I was pregnant with my son Corey.
Oh, you
so
were.
yeah, so when I came back, he had the building all up, so that made more space. And of course, nowadays our pictures on the wall there, which Calvin's we've done a lot of different things over the past years, and you can tell.
Just tell me a few of those things here. Calvin's looking around. Just point to a few for me and tell us what we're looking at, because I really love it.
These are aerial views of the dealership way back. I can't really tell you what year, but this is way back ago.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah. And then that's when we still had the house next door, and the ladies next door, you know, eventually asked us, and when they sold it, of course they offered it from my dad, so then this is still up here. And eventually we took it down. There was a ditch and we filled in the ditch. And we expanded a lot. And then this was just taken this summer.
Relatively recent, yeah. Look at
Yes, that was a recent photo from last year, which somebody took, which was nice. We haven't had one done in a while, so. And of course, you notice how the parking lot is expanded.
Oh, sure.
So, and you notice the building has changed quite a bit. We took out the old doors in the front, and we took out the other doors in the front, and we did the offices all over from the other when we did our other show when Dad was here. So
Yeah.
that was a while back ago.
Well, it's nice to have the Wall of Fame here. isn't
Yeah,
it?
so it's
Because
the Wall of Fame,
Because
which
some of these pictures go way. I mean, look at this.
Well, these pictures were in the dealership, and we put the names on it. But my dad, of course, went to the historian, which was Bob Cheeseman, and
Oh, I'm so glad that we have Bob. What a resource and what a great friend. Well, we're looking over in the corner there, and we always said that Riley Ford started in 1923.
yeah,
And that one says 44 years of Ford since 1922.
two, I know.
So there's a controversy there.
Yeah, it is.
We may have to go to the cemetery to find that.
We might have to do that. Yeah, I'm not quite sure how that. And like I said, then the owners, Bernard Riley, of course, owned Riley Ford. So, and then
Well, that's how the name started.
Yeah.
I love these pictures. Oh my goodness.
yes,
Austin Burnell, Robert Patnode, Peter Patnode.
yeah, way back in the days.
Don't you love them?
Oh yes, it's amazing because it's funny how the way back how everything changed, you know.
Just great to have it back here.
Yes.
Now I want to talk about all the tractors. Tony started to tell us about them. Tell me a little more.
Oh, well, between my dad and Uncle Gerald, which I didn't realize my dad had quite the collection of tractors until he started bringing these in, and we had, like Joy said, Alan Dupree came in and did all the displays, and my dad wanted to take all his tractors out, so we started, and Denise, who used to work here, Lapeer, did the put all the names on there
All
for
the
Dad.
little plaques on every single one.
So they would know exactly what tractors and, you know, what year they were. So and he had that, and he wanted to put this, and then of course my uncles with the military.
Oh, over here, yeah.
Yes, he wanted that put up. And of course, Gerard Dupree, our parts manager, who retired way back ago, had given Dad that collection. And Gerard passed away, but that was his collection he gave Dad. So, yeah, he had quite the mementos and all the stuff, and like those Ford for our past winnings and stuff.
That's pretty good too, huh?
Yes, we had a lot, and of course
more photographs over here on
Yeah.
the other wall. What's over there, Jane?
Well, those are photographs of my dad.
I love to get it all on there to let people
Yeah.
know that we got some history happening
Yeah,
here.
my dad had an opportunity to meet quite a few people between Ford Motor Company and the Boston regional office, where they got a chance to meet a lot of the baseball players and the race car drivers. And Ford Credit used to offer. We used to go to the NASCAR races. Back
Did
when,
you really?
Yes.
Did you get to go?
Yeah, I went a few times. Yeah, it was very awesome.
Good to you. You know,
and
I was
then
just-
the jersey and then of course we had a
we got to have a Yankees jersey over there. We got to have lots of Yankee references.
yeah, and he also had
I-
a Boston Red Sox.
I know
jersey.
that. We've seen a few
Yeah,
photographs.
so that.
I had to wear my Yankees hat here today. You know, I had
Yeah.
to pick out my good corduroy hat because it was cold out.
Yeah.
We're doing this on the opening day.
Opening day of-
Yesterday was supposed to be opening day, but the weather in New York City wasn't that hot yesterday,
No,
James.
it wasn't warm at all.
Raining and
Considering-
snowing, and
Considering what it's been like.
I think there were 3 teams that had to postpone their openers. You know, you spend a little time planning for your home opener. Are you kidding me? Well, I know died an old Yankee fans because I've been one for well over 75 years, so I know
Yeah,
that
and my dad was.
they're not going home if they already have a hotel room in the city.
Yeah, and my dad's a Yankees fan,
Oh,
so
yeah.
yeah, die hard. So.
So Jane, is there some other question that you hoped I was going to ask you and I forgot to? Anything else you want to talk about right now?
No, I think you hit everything. This has been it hasn't changed whatsoever. I mean, it's the same atmosphere when you walk through the doors of Riley Ford.
Well, hometown
Hometown.
community business.
Right.
We learned that right in the beginning. Calvin and I enjoy talking with people connected to hometown
Correct.
things.
Correct. When you walk in this dealership and when you have a customer that walks out and they feel they've, been treated,
And they come back.
and they
generation
come back.
after generation.
generations.
That's great.
Yeah, and they come back and we're just don't pressure. We're just not that type of dealership.
Well, I know you're not going to put any pressure on, Jane.
Never.
I want to thank you so much for inviting us here today and talking with us. I have thoroughly enjoyed meeting the whole family, all the men. I've heard people chewing on food that I never dreamed of.
I know, and I thought
They
they
look
would
like
get.
they didn't even have breakfast, half those people.
I know, and I thought they were gonna, share, right?
No, they've seen my mouth before. I normally bring a fold-up fork in my pocket. Anyway, Jane, thanks again.
Oh, you're so welcome. Anytime.
Good luck.
Pleasure's mine, like
Right.
always.
Oh, we love it too. Thanks again.
Thank you very much. Thanks you, Calvin, Gordy, for everything. Appreciate it.
Well, it's still a little breezy, and there is a little sunshine, and I think there is hope in our soul, even though on this 5th day of April, it's supposed to be spring, and it's about 20 degrees outside. We have thoroughly enjoyed our time at Riley Ford on Route 9 in Chazy. Just to let our audience know, we weren't here to do a commercial for a certain brand of car, but we were here to tell a story about an organization that's been here since the early 1920s and has become an iconic institution in this community. I want to thank Joy for inviting us into her office and all the other family members who spoke with us today. She's got a sign in her office that talks about how to be good at what you do is to love what you do. And obviously they have great passion for every minute they spend at Riley Ford. So it's been a tremendous pleasure for Calvin and I to come here, and what for me was a kind of an unplanned visit, but it turned out to be terrific, and I learned a great deal about this family and this community again today, and I love everything I heard. Thanks to all of our viewers for their comments and suggestions. Thanks especially to those viewers who do their best to support our little corner in Hometown Cable by writing a check or getting a few bills out of their wallet, putting them in an envelope and sending them to Hometown Cable, Calvin Castine, 1477 Ridge Road in Champlain. It'll help to foot the bill and pay the gas to the next program that we do down the road. And who knows where we're going to be next time for our little corner.